180.
Welcome back to Online Darts, everyone. We're here in Newcastle and we've nabbed the rock star Joe Cullen for 5 minutes. Joe, first of all, good to be back and playing in these exhibitions.
Yeah, keeps us busy away from obviously the main tournaments. But yeah, to be honest, as much as I love doing the exhibitions, I wouldn't mind a weekend off. But yeah, it's all good fun.
Yeah, look, the form itself, when we spoke earlier on in the year, it was like, right, I'm ready to go again. And you're now doing it, obviously winning on the Pro Tour. Results are coming and looking more yourself again.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I think the start of the year I was having time to practice and I was putting work in. But then it seems that the thicker and faster the tournaments are coming, I think my form dropped a little bit because I'm sort of having the time to practice, but I'm not that here and more. It's the same for everyone. But yeah, I think when my game's good, it's really good, but I think it's all my V game a little bit because I don't think it's there. They're just quite.
You touched on tournaments coming thick and fast and so on. We hear some players saying there's too much dart, some saying that there's not enough. Where are you on the calendar issues at the moment?
Yeah, probably a bit of both, to be fair. I think I'd be first to moan if there was hardly any tournaments, but we've got them options to potentially miss them, especially the foreign pro tours. But yeah, it's like I say, the European tour is great. I would never miss a European tour.
Yeah, look, I know obviously you got a lot of stick for it, but we've seen a lot of players criticise conditions in Rosmalen and Hildesheim and things like that. What is the big difference between when we have a pro tour over here and over there, conditions-wise? Because we see so many complaints about conditions.
To be fair, I don't actually think there's much in the conditions. The first day we were playing in Rosmalen, the conditions weren't great. They weren't prepared for it. They'd only held European tour there. But the next day there was fine. So condition-wise, I don't think there's much in it. I just think it's a big thing. We're in Europe that much over the course of the year. I think the pro tours over there, although they're great to the Germans, you see sort of becoming weak. I think there's something like 10 in the top 16.
Yeah, there's a lot missing. Yeah,
it can't be just coincidence that it's a foreign pro tour. So I'm going this week. So hopefully I'll be able to take advantage of a lot of top boys not being here.
Yeah, look, the reason you're going, obviously, you're in that position where you're okay and you're in everything at the moment side thing, but you need to strengthen that position. And is that something that you're looking at, get back up into that top 16?
Yeah, obviously I'm looking at that, but I'm not looking at Hildesheim Pro Tour to correct that. Do you know what I mean? If you can go there and do well and win one, win two, whatever it be, then yeah, that will massively strengthen it. But it doesn't work like that. So I'm looking to strengthen it by getting all the TV tournaments. Obviously, not being in the top 16 now, having to qualify. So that's where the big money is, and that's where you can really do some damage.
Touching on obviously your ranking and so on, that you've had it both ways. That you've been in stuff because of that ranking, and now you're obviously someone who you had to go to Euro Tour qualifiers. We've had 18 months of these changes now. What's your take on it overall? Good or bad, the changes they've made?
First one, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, that's what I said. The first one, it's changed and they changed the seedings over.
Yeah, I think either way, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's necessarily rewarding consistency by just saying the top 16 get in. And I'd be saying if I was in the top 16, I would benefit from it, but I'd still say the same, So it's one of them, it's not often the PC get anything wrong, and I think they tried tweaking it over the last few years. I think last year was a funny one. I think because when the changes got put in place, I think if the Euro Tour would have started last year, brand new, that format would have been, no one would have argued a thing.
Agreed.
But just because it's been that drastic of a change, it's not been a gradual thing. I think it's literally been from that direct to that rather than a gradual thing. So I think that's where there was a few little bugbears. But yeah, I think this year, the top 16 in the world can count themselves probably a little bit more lucky. Obviously, you look at sort of the top 4, top 8, they're in anyway. But then down from that, there's players who are outside the top 16 Pro Tour and some that are way outside the top 16 Pro Tour. So, yeah, they can count themselves lucky, but, they don't make the rules, so they benefit from it and, good for them.
Huge news for darts in the recent weeks that the new Sky deal was signed for obscene amount of money. And then off the back of that, we've now got £1 million for the World Championships. What was your take when you heard the news that someone or two players are going to be playing for £1 million?
Yeah. Not only that, I think obviously that's the big statement. That it's £1 million for the winner. But if you look at the money that's invested elsewhere as well, down in the other tournaments, the money's crazy. I think if you win one game at the match play, it's like 22,500 quid or something like that, 25. It's something obscene. And I remember getting the quarters when I played Gary in the game, and I got 17 and a half as getting the quarters. It just shows where the game's coming. And I think, I said in many interviews, I think obviously Luke Littler's a big advocate for that, because he's been the one he's got the the armchair dart supporter out of the armchair and going to events. So it's great for the game, and I think the money's crazy. And like I said, it's not just the million. The other tournaments, it's broken down so much, and you can be sort of 40, 50 in the world and still make a comfortable living.
Yeah. So next year, you guys are under for £25 million a year. That's, like you said, ridiculous.
Yeah. But yeah, that's down to sort of the PDC and the way they structured tournaments. It's just crazy. Yeah, I don't get on with that going. But yeah, it's great. It's a great time to be that. But
one frustration I hear from players is that we're now into May and you guys don't know the World Championship criteria.
Yeah.
Is that a frustration for you or not? Or not really?
Well, I'm not really bothered, to be fair. I think the top 32 know they're going to be playing in it, whether it be they get a bye to the second round like we did.
It's a flat mat. They already said everyone's coming in at 1-8.
I didn't really look at it, to be honest.
Yeah, everyone starts in the 1-8 this year.
So I wouldn't imagine the format or anything would be massively different. I think the thing would be that the top 32 start the first game. I think that'd be the biggest difference, and I wouldn't imagine I don't think they're going to do best of 3 sets first games. I think there'd be sort of too many big seeds under threat. I don't think that the PDC want that. They don't want the Loops going out first game being vulnerable first. They don't want that. So I would imagine it'd be best of 5. So I don't think it's going to be that much different, to be honest.
Yeah, the change is obviously a drastic one as well. Going to that 1-8 real statement. 21 days of a World Championship. Now, the way darts is just, like you say, career. Did you ever see it going this way so quickly?
No. I always saw it going this way, if I'm honest, because you could just see where the game was going, especially where it came from as well. Just being sort of a pub game, really. But yeah, I saw it going this way. But like you said, I didn't think it would go at the speed that it's gone. I thought where we're at now would have been maybe another 10 years down the line.
Yeah, look, it's remarkable, but we look at the strength in depth now, and even players that are stepping up and filling spots off the Challenge Tour and stuff like that, they're almost fully fledged professionals now. It's mental.
There's that much darts to play. Look at, if you're on the Challenge Tour, you've got so many opportunities to play. It's just like, for example, if you're sort of 20 and on the Challenge Tour, you can play the Challenge Tour, you can play the Modus Super Series, you can play the Development Tour, you can play what's BDO called? WDF. There's so many opportunities now, and I think you find players going to Q School at the start of the year with no real ambition to get a tour card. Don't get me wrong, the majority of the players have, but some of them want to go there just so they can play on the Challenge Tour and play all these events, and they're probably busier than we are.
Yeah, no, it's mad when we look at it. Obviously, as well, no change to your favourite tournament, the Grand Slam. This year it's going to go to 48. And then next year, we know your love-hate relationship with the Grand Slam, but the expansion is coming next year.
Yeah, I think it was clear to see last year. I think the PDC acknowledged it. I think whether they wanted to or not, there was an elephant in the room. I think was it sort of 8 or 9 of the top 16 didn't qualify for the Grand Slam.
John, the list was endless.
It was just crazy, and I think they knew then that they had to look at the criteria a little bit. But again, it's one of those. I think it sort of lost its sort of appeal when the BDO players stopped playing, because that was originally it was
the cross-code tournament. It's lost its identity.
Yeah, identity. That was the word I was looking for. But yeah, I think obviously when it went to a ranking tournament, that was when it started to. I think people started to more look at the criteria, because it's a ranking tournament, yet so many unranked events get you in it. I think I've heard a few things about the Premier League. Or should they really be? I'm like, well, Premier League, they're going to be in it anyway, aren't they? It's going to be a sort of top 4, top 8 in the world, whatever it be. They'll be in it regardless. So, not a big fan of the World Cup, especially the runners-up getting in. Obviously, Johnny's one of my best friends, and he's benefited from it before. I don't agree with it. Scarce to say that I don't think the winners should be in. with it being a pairs event. But that's what it is. It's a great opportunity for somebody, especially if, sort of an unknown can get a nice run to the final.
With all these changes that have come in, and we've seen some players happy with it, some players not, like Peter Alan Suter obviously bashed it and stuff like that. They're not as in the Euro Tour things and because these things. But the point is, obviously, you guys pay a levy to the PDPA.
Yeah.
And do you think they're doing best for all 1 to 8 players when, yes, they're looking after the very top? From the outside looking in,
How are they looking after the top?
They said they agreed with the changes for the Euro Tour with the top 16 being protected and guaranteed and stuff like that. So as a member, are they doing enough for all players, do you feel? Because obviously you're paying them effectively.
I don't know. I said this discussion, you get me here. I know what you're doing. I personally think it should be optional. I think in most work environments, a union, effectively, that's what it is, is optional. You choose to pay into it or you choose not to. I'm not about to sit here and slag off the PDPA.
I'll be nice to do.
I'm not sure what they do. I've not really looked into it that much, but I think people will say, "Oh, it's only 2%." Do you know what I mean? If you win, stupid amounts of money, then you're paying stupid amounts.
It's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, then you pay stupid amounts to them. So I personally think the PDPA should be optional, and I know that a lot of other players think the same. But I think ironically, it's down to the players to get together to put that question to them. So I think that's something. I think that's something that will come about in the next maybe a year or two. I think a lot of the players are a little bit annoyed at certain aspects of it, and I think obviously there's a bit's been passed on as well now. Like, so it's the DRA rather than the PDP and the PDC working together, and I think it's sort of a little bit of a get out maybe just to say, oh, we'll pass it on to the DRA when it's a bit like certain picks for TV events. They'll say, oh, that was Sky's pick, and you're like, it wasn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's sort of a way out a little bit, but probably delved a little bit too deep. But yeah,
I know what you mean.
No, yeah, but the top and bottom, I do think we effectively work. Whether you call it a job or whatever. I know it's a bit 100% to the most 9-to-5 job, but in any other walk of job, if you like, a union is optional. So why is it not for us?
Well, I'm just interested picking up what you said in there. Obviously, you said that you don't really know what they do. Is that the general consensus from a lot of players that they don't know what the PDPA do, full stop? Because that seems mad because you're paying them, not just you, but in general, you're paying 2%. I think it's 2% of the whole total is a lot of money.
I just think it's one of them, it's just been accepted because that's the way it's always been. But yeah, I like I say, I'm not for 1 minute, I'm having to sit down and somebody prove me wrong and say, this is what we do and this is what I've never delved into it, which is on me. But yeah, I'm unsure as to where we benefit. Me personally, I've benefited from a few things that they've sorted out for me. So in that aspect, it's been good. But again, I go back to it. I think a union should be optional. We shouldn't. Our money, which is effectively what it is, shouldn't be taken without us having to say so. I don't think.
No, it's interesting because it's come up in topic quite a lot with like some of the high ranked players, middle and low.
You do this kind of interview a lot. I think if you ask a similar question to the majority of players, I'd be surprised at least 80% did agree with what I'm saying or say similar to what I'm saying.
No, I agree. I think you're right but obviously that money just disappears from your thing. So how do you as players go around changing that and making it optional?
I don't think we could change it unless we have like a players meeting and all the players. Stupid things like you see it all the time, with the bin men in, and that it needs that type of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
All the players say, I'll tell you what, they're not playing. But that, you know what I mean? The money that's in the game now, I think a lot of players they think it'd be stupid to do something like that.
It's a really interesting. Look, I wasn't trying to stitch you up, but I thought you had to answer that really, really well because it's a very topical thing at the moment.
Yeah, like I say, I'm good friends with some of the, all of the staff really at the PDPA. So, in an aspect of like a friendship thing, it's nothing personal that way, but we're getting our money taken from us without us having to say so. So I think there should be more. I think there should be a meeting to maybe address it. But then the PDPA will say, well, we organise meetings, but you don't turn up. But
this is a bit different though, isn't it?
It's more of an annual meeting to address, sort of mental health, betting within sport, that sort of thing. It's never really about, oh, this is what we do for you. This is where your money's going. As far as I'm aware, I've been to a few meetings, probably not as many as I should have been, but I've never been told this is where it goes, this is where it goes, unless it's on an email and just generic.
No, it's cool. Big time of year coming up. The match play is now on the horizon. We can see the Winter Gardens glistening.
Yeah.
Is that one that you're targeting because that's the first real big TV tournament of the back end of the year?
Yeah. Blackpool's my favourite tournament of the year. I always look forward to that, whether I'm in good form, bad form, irrelevant. I look forward to playing in that venue and, the whole week. So obviously I'm defending the semis from 2 years ago. So, it adds a little bit more pressure this year, but if I put the work in and, get my game to somewhere where I know it can be, then, I can go that deep again and, maybe go and win it.
You say it's your favourite tournament. It always seems to bring the best out of you, no matter what form you're in. You seem to go there and something switches. Yeah. Something switches.
I actually remember last year. I don't remember many games, but I remember last year going there and, I wasn't playing well. Confidence was low. All sorts going on. And I remember playing Brendan and I just thought I could do without this because Brendan is a bit of a bogey play for me. And I thought I played brilliant. And it just come from nowhere. And, it can be one of them that spurs you on and maybe kickstarts your year, especially going into the back end of the year.
Actually, I remember the one the year before when everyone writ you off and you were like, went in there super pumped and super fired up. Yeah. I remember that one more than anything.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I think that, well, you saw that. I think it's them games where you sort of written off a little bit, obviously saw the Worlds, what happened there, and I think it shouldn't take that for me to bring that sort of game out in me, but sometimes it does. I think I need to find some sort of remedy where it just comes out regardless, so I have to work on that.
Joe, absolute pleasure catching up with you here in Newcastle, mate. We know you're going to play in a minute, so thanks very much.
Cheers, lad. Good luck.